Hey, how you doing? Tia Naru here of the 6G frequency. Today, God said we talking about reckoning and reasoning. Some energy moving through y'all. Strong wind coming through y'all. It's time for reckoning and reasonings, It's time to consider the energy you've been moving in. Whether that's been positive energy, whether that's been negative energy. And it's time to take accountability for that energy. Consider your steps. It's important to consider your steps before you even make movements. But we got so many of us, we move, then we consider. And we don't consider the reckoning that comes with the reasonings that we have within ourselves. And God said, prepare for the reckoning and the reasonings. Look over the movements that you've had in your life. Consider the decisions that you've made on behalf of yourself and others. What is the energy that you move in? Are you moving in the energy of love? Or are you moving in the energy of hate and deceit? But whatever the case, the movements you make, the choices you make, and we all have a choice. We all have freedom to choose and to move in the energy that we choose to move in. So make sure that the choices you make are being made by you and are not being made for you by someone else. Because you are the one who will deal with the reckoning of the choices made on your behalf because you align with it. We don't have to align with things that we don't agree with. We don't have to align with things that we do not feel are right. You always have a choice. And sometimes we want this immediate gratification for something or this immediate reward or grand feeling. And so we align with a choice that we know ain't the right choice. When you feel it deep within you saying, no, that's God saying, that might be something you don't want to do. And then you make the choice to do it anyway. You got a right to do what you will. But understand that your actions, good and bad, have its own rewards and consequences. You understand? And so whatever the energy is, that is you. Whatever you've been out here doing. And like I said, good and bad. God said it's time to kind of sit back and take a look over your movement. Sit down and reason with yourself. Reckon with them within yourself. And if you need to make some different decisions about how you're moving, now might be the time to do that. And if you know you've been making all the right moves on behalf of yourself in this life, good job. Some beautiful energy headed your way. But it's important that we understand that the choices we make in life are ours. And if you're not making your own choices, I advise that you sit down and start making your own choices. Start looking over areas in your life where you may have given up control, where you may have yielded the responsibility to someone else. Because whatever the case, and it's not God gonna call you into accountability for what you've been doing, because you be God having this experience. Understand? So if it's been positive energy you've been moving in, of course, God, glorify God in the energy that God has been doing a grand job of being love. But if you've been someone moving around in negative energy, making some negative choices, then God be you too, reckoning and reasoning within himself on his actions and some corrections that can be made and the consequences that may be had But yet again, it's just an experience of God experiencing God in the midst of his negative energy. See, God is so grand. We've been programmed to kind of see God in one foresight, in one light, you know, in this, the holiest of holiest and all of that. And that's true. But when you consider being made in God's image, know this, it's all God's image. The good, the bad, the ugly is all God's image. Man, God is so humble, is that he's experiencing himself through every aspect of himself. So whoever you are, I don't know who looking at this, but you know this, you be God. And whatever qualities you possess are qualities of God. Don't ever think that you're lacking because you're not holy or because you're not elevated to the way the world says you has to be elevated to be of God. We all of God. All of this is God having an experience. And what a wonderful fucking experience. You understand? To experience the happiness, to experience the sadness, to experience being rich, to experience being poor, to experience giving love, to experience being hate, and then to sit back, sit down, and reflect on it all as you work out within yourself, as God works out within himself, where he can work on himself at, where he may be slightly flawed, where he can bring up his energy. Come on now. This whole life experience we're having is a God experience. So in every step you take, every move you make, no, you moving with God. You walking with God. You be God having the experience that you're having. So when we talk about the reckoning and the reasoning, understand this. This God reckoning and reasoning within himself. But we always want to say that we want to live this life and make the choices we make and then call to God when we want God to make it easy, when God been right there all the time watching you make the choices, watching you make the decisions, watching you let somebody else make the choices and decisions and go along with it. God right there for all of that. God right there for all of that, because it's God having the experience through you. And because God is right there, because it is God having the experience, trust and believe that when it's time for the reckoning and the reasoning, God in position to reckon with themselves based on the decisions being made. You can't step outside of yourself after you've done some horrible things and then say, all right, God, come on, God, take over, God, take the wheel, God, step in. Come on now. Come on now. Let's just keep it real with ourselves. It is so easy to look at this life and say, God put us here to hurt, to suffering, and we got to be good to go to heaven. Get the fuck up out of here. None of that makes sense. Don't none of it make sense. We are out here experiencing this life. It's important that you pay attention to the choices that you make. Make sure that you're making ethical choices based on the life that you want to live, based on who you are. Just be love. The goal of this life, the goal of this experience is to be love. And where you may fall short of being the love of God, where you may fall short of being love, sit down with yourself, personal reckoning and reason, then turn around and step back into the energy again and give it another go at it, you know? But no matter what energy you've been moving in, it's a beautiful experience. It's not a fearful experience to be had. But just God wants you to know that you the one got to deal with the consequences of your actions. And you can't go crying, God, come help me, when it's time to deal with the motherfucking fire that your ass done sat. You know what I'm saying? When it's time for God to kind of give you your bag of goodies, it's okay. But when it's time for God to kind of send energies through life to reprimand your movement, then we feel like we being punished and something is, oh, woe is me. I can remember feeling that way about this life. Like, oh my God, it sucks. Oh my God, this is so unfair. Oh my God, this is so much pressure. God, why would God do this? None of this. And as I understand life the way I understand it now, shit, God cold, man. This one hell of a fucking experience that it's time for you to own. Stop blaming God. Stop looking for God to come save you from situations that you've walked yourself into. Own this energy that is you, God. You understand what I'm saying? God see you. God with you. God got you. God there for you. But when like I said, with this reckoning reason, because I could feel this energy, with this reckoning and reasoning, if like I said, if you want the positive, polarity of this energy, good shit. But for whoever may be on that negative polarity of this reckoning and reasoning energy that's coming through, breathe your way through it. Clear your mind state. Slow down the energy that you're moving in through the course of the day, because I don't know what you're finna go through. But I understand that in life, like I said, if you've one who've been moving around in negative energy, then the return on that energy, God said, is coming through. Okay? So, there is nothing presented to you that you can't deal with. And God will fortify you. And if life becomes hard, if situations and circumstances become hard as a result of the choices you've made, intentionally, to be hurtful, to be harmful, to be deceitful, be love to yourself, and know that God is still there for you. God's love is always there for you. Even when we don't feel like it. Bowled up in a corner. Hug yourself real tight. And work it out with God. But y'all have a wonderful day. It's Tea in a Room.